Alright, y'all, what's good? What's good? Today, the new camera setup. Alright, today we're gonna be talking about why men need to be comfortable training alone. Alright, so why men need to be comfortable training alone. Go and hit your workout. You shouldn't have to have somebody there to hold your hand throughout a workout, bro. Yeah, first and foremost, man, why this is important. Because when you are in the gym, you are working on improving yourself, right? So you need to be able to, and I know the gym for many different people, okay, there's many different reasons why we get into going to the gym, into training, right? A lot of the time, it starts off as, for me, I've been an athlete since I can remember. So for me, it was just improving my athletic ability. Really got me into it. I mean, ever since then, I just fell in love with just anything that's physical and working on getting stronger and faster, all that stuff, right? You know, other people, it might be, a lot of times there's, weight loss journeys, or it might be self-improvement journeys where, I mean, for guys, a lot of times a canon event is a girl breaks up with you, or something like that, something along those lines, and you're like, man, like now you become the new gym bro. Or I know a lot of guys have that story, but you need to be able to be with your own thoughts, okay? And why this is important is when you are alone, okay? Yes, you might be in a gym full of other people, but when you're alone and you're with your own thoughts, you have to hear those thoughts, all right? You hear those thoughts and you have to acknowledge them. And yeah, it's just important that we're able to reflect and actually hear when we are thinking, hear ourselves think, and to actually think. Most people don't think, bro. You need to be able to actually think, right? And then when you're pushing yourself through hard sets and these movements and exerting yourself, what are your thoughts telling you? Are your thoughts, are your thoughts solidifying that you're a pussy, right? You're saying, man, this is tough, I'm out of here. Or are your thoughts telling you that you can overcome? Are your thoughts, are you pumping yourself up? Are you telling yourself that you're capable, right? That's the other thing too, right? When you're working out or on your own, okay, no one's there cheering you on, which, okay, it's cool if someone's there and, giving you encouragement, but you have to be able to create that on your own, right? You have to be able to create strength of will on your own. You can't always rely on someone else being there because there's not always going to be someone else there, right? So, yeah. Next thing, okay, when you're with, this is mostly younger dudes, I notice, but I'll see this with, guys, late 20s, 30s, all that shit, 50s, 40s, 50s, right? You just waste too much time conversing. Just waste too much time chatting and what the fuck was that? You waste too much time just chatting and joking around and like just not being on task, on mission with your movements and with your lifts. So essentially, right, a workout that could be an hour takes you an hour and a half, hour 45, but you're not even working out the whole time, bro. You're just in there yucking it up with your homie, like fucking waste of time. You can do that shit at the crib. But yeah, you just waste your time conversing and joking around instead of being dialed in. You're 1 hour, let's say somebody's in there, let's say you in there for 1 hour, you in the gym for 1 hour and with your homie, and you guys are, doing this and that in between sets. And I say this because I see this shit all the time. Again, it's usually younger dudes, but it's more often than not younger dudes. But I still see, everyone doing this. For some reason, the ladies be locked in. It's the guys that be chatting. But anyways, instead of, you're in there for an hour, and the real work time is really only like 30 minutes because your intensity drops. Your sets, your rest between sets is like 10 minutes. Like, you're not doing shit, bro. And that, segues into this. So our brains are only able to focus on one thing at a time, right? So task switching, okay? If you read if you read the book Deep Work by Cal Newport, he talks about this. But task switching, basically you're taking your mind from one task to another, and just the act of switching tasks. It takes our brains some time to make that transition. So imagine if you're working out, you're hitting, let's say, bench press, you're ripping the bench, right? But then you go from focusing on that to having a conversation with your homies about such and such, about some chick, about 2K or whatever fucking video game, right? Your brain now is going from the task of dialing in for that bench press to talking about 2K or talking about Vanessa or talking about whatever. And then now you got to get back to, locking in for the bench, right? Newport in the book Deep Work, he talks about how there's residue. So like, I forget the exact term, but like task residue. There's always going to be a little bit of residue from the previous task that your brain is switching from. And the less time in between tasks, so, the shorter amount of time between tasks, there's more relevant residue left from that task, right? So imagine, again, bench pressing, dial into your set, now you're talking about blah, blah, blah. Going back to bench pressing, now your brain has that residue from, talking about whatever. And that back and forth for the entirety of an hour, you're not getting any real work, bro. You're just, going through the motions. So, but yeah, the last thing is for this to really, I think this is the most important, but you need to learn how to push yourself when there's nobody there, right? We need to be able to push ourselves without somebody else having to come and tell us, bro, you can go harder, you can go harder. It has to come from within, and that's what I'm talking about when I say strength of will. It's got to come from within. And yeah, it's just the self-accountability of being able to go, and I'll give you an example, bro. If you're actually going hard in the gym, you're actually pushing weights, you're actually strength training, you don't have to go to failure every set, okay, bro? Don't listen, bro. Naturally, if you push weights, you're gonna go to failure. Anyways, you don't have to every single set go to failure. You're frying your CNS if you're doing that. But anyways, you need to be able to push yourself. And right, so for example, yesterday I was hitting squat, right, 315 for reps. My legs were cooked, right? My energy was low-key cooked those last few sets. But no one's there telling you like, bro, keep going, keep going. That came from within, just from doing it for so long, right? I still hit my extra reps, and then you create. I always say we don't rely on motivation, we create our own motivation. In that moment, I can create my own motivation as to why I need to be able to hit 6 reps. In the moment, you're going for 4, but then in the set, you're like, man, I can go way harder. I have to get these. You tell yourself a condition to get those last 2, or to get those extra 2, right? So, yeah, just the self-accountability and being able to, being able to learn how to turn up your own level, turn up your own intensity without having someone there to, allow you to tap into that. So, yeah, man, be comfortable training alone. There's nothing wrong training with a training partner, with the homie. But what I will say to that is just make sure they're dialed in. Make sure you're dialed in first, but make sure anyone you work out with, bro, I work out on my own 99.9% of the time because most people aren't dialed in, right? If we're doing a workout together, you have to be dialed in, or else we're not working out ever again, period, right? So most men need to learn how to do this, but yeah, man, new camera setup, you see it. This image looks solid, so I'll be getting more videos out here in the near future. So stay dialed in, boys.